Have you ever experienced betrayal so deep that it left you speechless, standing in a place where your trust, your sacrifices, and your love for family felt like nothing but dust in the wind? Let me know in the comments below from where in the world you are watching this, and as the story unfolds, I want you to rate it honestly on a scale of 1 to 10, because I promise, by the end, you will feel every emotion I felt. I had always believed that family came first. I was the eldest, the responsible one, the one who held everything together when our parents passed away too early, leaving my younger sister in my care. I worked long hours, saved every penny, and while she dreamed of fairy tale endings, I grounded myself in reality to make sure she never had to go without. When she first told me about her wedding, her excitement was contagious. She had met someone she described as the one, and while I had my doubts about him, I put them aside. Love, I thought, was supposed to be blind, and maybe I was being too cautious. She asked for my help because neither she nor her fiancé had the kind of money to make the wedding she dreamed of happen. Without hesitation, I promised I would take care of it. Months of my salary, my savings, my hard-earned plans for my own future, all poured into creating a perfect day for her. I booked the hall, I paid the vendors, I arranged the flowers, I secured the gown, and I handled every little detail because I wanted her to feel like the world revolved around her on that special day. But then, when I finally asked her casually, "So, when's the wedding?" she shrugged and said, almost as if it meant nothing, "Oh, we had it yesterday." In that moment, my world shattered. How could she have a wedding I paid for, that I organized, that I sacrificed everything for, and not even tell me when it was happening? Why would she hide something so monumental from the very person who had given up everything for her happiness? The silence between us after her reply was heavier than any scream could have been. I felt my chest tighten, as though every ounce of love I had poured into her life had been thrown back at me. And yet, as broken as I was, I needed answers. That single line, "We had it yesterday," became the spark of a story filled with deceit, heartbreak, revelations, and a shocking truth that would change the way I looked at my sister forever. I stood there frozen, her words echoing in my ears like a cruel punchline to a joke I didn't understand. "Oh, we had it yesterday." It replayed over and over until the room around me felt like it was spinning. I had imagined myself standing proudly at her side, watching her walk down the aisle in the dress I had fought so hard to pay for, sharing in her joy, maybe even shedding a tear when she said, "I do." Instead, I wasn't even given the dignity of knowing it had already happened. My first instinct was disbelief. Maybe she was joking, maybe it was some kind of twisted attempt at humor. But her face didn't carry a smile, only a strange mixture of guilt and defiance, as if she had rehearsed that line 100 times before saying it to me. I asked again, my voice breaking despite my effort to stay calm. "What do you mean yesterday? How could you not tell me?" She looked down at her hands, twisting the thin gold band now sitting proudly on her finger. "We just decided to do it quietly," she murmured. Quietly? There was nothing quiet about the months I had spent working overtime shifts to cover deposits. Nothing quiet about the way I drained my savings to make sure her special day was exactly what she envisioned. And now, after all that, she had chosen to erase me from the picture entirely. I felt anger surge inside me, hot and bitter, clashing against the heartbreak that still sat heavy in my chest. "Why?" I demanded. "Why would you cut me out of your wedding? I paid for everything, I planned everything. I was supposed to be there. I deserved to be there." Her silence was deafening. The pause stretched long enough that I could hear the faint ticking of the clock on the wall, every second mocking me, reminding me of what I had lost. Finally, she whispered, "It wasn't about you." Her words cut deep, sharper than any knife. Not about me? Was I selfish to want to be included after everything I had done? My mind flashed through the late nights when I came home too tired to eat, but still answered her calls to talk about table settings and flower arrangements. The mornings when I skipped meals just to save a little more for her catering bill. The weekends I spent running errands instead of resting, all because she said she wanted the wedding of her dreams. And now she had the audacity to tell me it wasn't about me, as if my sacrifices meant nothing. But beneath the anger, a darker suspicion began to stir. Why would she plan everything with me, accept my money, let me handle every detail, only to secretly change the date, secretly hold the wedding, and then casually drop the truth after it was all over? Something wasn't adding up. I could see it in her eyes, the way they flickered nervously, refusing to meet mine for more than a second. There was more to this story, something she was hiding, something she didn't want me to discover. And though part of me wanted to walk away and never look back, another part knew I couldn't rest until I uncovered the truth. Because betrayal by blood is not just a wound. It is a question that demands an answer, no matter how painful it may be. So, imagine sitting there, still trying to process her words. "Oh, we had it yesterday," and your mind is spinning. The room feels smaller, your chest feels tight, and you're wondering if maybe you misheard her. Maybe she's joking, maybe there's some misunderstanding. You play those words back in your head over and over, and each time they hit harder, like stones dropping into a still pond, each ripple reminding you of how much time, money, and love you invested into her big day, a day you thought you were part of, a day you were promised you'd be included in. And now, all of it seems stolen right from under you. And you know what's crazy? When I asked her why she didn't tell me, she just shrugged like it was the most casual thing in the world, like I had simply asked her what she had for lunch. Can you even imagine that? Months of planning, sleepless nights, digging into savings, skipping things for myself, all so she could have the dream wedding she wanted. And suddenly it's like none of it mattered. None of it was even real. And I was left in the dark while she just went ahead and got married without even inviting me. And as you're listening right now, tell me, what would you even do in my position? Would you blow up in anger? Would you cut her off completely? Or would you sit in stunned silence, trying to figure out what you did wrong to deserve being treated like that? Seriously, drop your thoughts in the comments, because I need to know if I'm crazy for feeling the way I did. But the thing that burns the most, and you'll probably feel it with me, is not even the money, though yes, it was a huge amount, every cent of my savings. It was the betrayal, the cold realization that my own sister, my flesh and blood, the person I trusted more than anyone, went behind my back to live a moment I helped pay for. And you know what hurts the most? She didn't even give me the dignity of knowing, of sharing that day with her, of standing beside her and smiling for the pictures I thought I'd see, of hearing the vows I thought I'd cry at, of dancing in the reception I thought I helped build. Instead, she left me with scraps, with the leftovers of a sentence. "We had it yesterday." And I don't care what anyone says, that sentence is one of the coldest, sharpest things you could ever hear from family. Because it means, we moved on without you. We didn't need you. We didn't even want you there. And trust me, that realization cut deeper than any insult, deeper than any fight, deeper than anything money could have bought. And as the hours passed, I couldn't shake the question. Why? Why would she do this? Was it shame? Was it pride? Was it because she didn't want me stealing her spotlight? Or maybe she just thought I wasn't important enough to stand in the same room where she said her vows. And if you've ever been excluded like that, you'll understand how heavy that feeling is, like someone just yanked the ground right out from under you. So tell me, from wherever you're watching right now, be it the US, India, Africa, Europe, have you ever been betrayed by your own blood like this? Because betrayal from outsiders is one thing, but betrayal from your sister? That's a scar that doesn't heal easily, and it follows you no matter how much time passes. And here's the thing I realized sitting in that silence after she dropped the bomb. Sometimes, the people you think will stand beside you forever, the people you sacrifice everything for, will be the same ones who walk away without looking back. And that's exactly what happened to me that day. And it didn't stop there, because the more I thought about it, the more the cracks in her story started showing. I replayed every single conversation we'd had in the weeks leading up to it, her telling me how stressed she was, how she couldn't do it without me, how grateful she was that I was covering the costs. Every late-night call where she cried about how expensive everything was getting, and I assured her it would all be fine, because I had her back. Every text where she promised me I'd be sitting in the front row, where she said she couldn't imagine walking down the aisle without me there to see it. And all of those words, all of those promises, turned out to be lies. And you know what's strange? In that moment, my mind shifted from feeling hurt to feeling like a fool, like I had been tricked, like I had been used. Because if she planned this behind my back, that means she was looking me in the eye the whole time she was deceiving me. Do you know how hard it is to swallow that truth? And let me ask you right now, if your own sibling, someone you grew up with, shared secrets with, celebrated birthdays with, looked you in the eye and lied straight to your face, would you ever be able to trust them again? And then there's the money. Let's not sugarcoat it. It wasn't pocket change. It wasn't a small gift. It was years of careful saving, money I had put aside for my own future, money I could have used for a house, for a business, for things I'd been dreaming about for years. But I gave it up happily because I believed family comes first. And now, sitting in that quiet, hearing her dismissive, "Oh, we had it yesterday," I realized family didn't mean the same thing to her as it did to me. To her, it was convenience. To her, it was about what she could get. To her, my role was never to be her brother or sister on her wedding day. It was to be her wallet. And I hate even saying that out loud, but deep down, I knew it was true. And if you've ever felt like someone you loved only kept you around for what you could give them, then you know that sting. It's a pain that doesn't fade quickly, but here's where it gets even darker. I started digging, asking mutual relatives, asking friends, and slowly, pieces of the puzzle came together. She didn't just forget to tell me. She deliberately excluded me. She told people I was too controlling, that I would make the day about me. Can you believe that? Me, the one who sacrificed everything to give her the dream she wanted, suddenly painted as the villain in her story. And when I confronted her with this, do you think she apologized? Do you think she broke down and admitted she was wrong?
No.
She doubled down, telling me I was too sensitive, that it wasn't about me, that I should just be happy she's happy. And that right there, that manipulation, that twisting of the knife, left me questioning everything. Because how can you fight with someone who doesn't even acknowledge the wound they gave you? And maybe you're thinking right now, what would you do? Would you cut her off entirely? Would you forgive her? Or would you sit back, waiting for karma to find its way into her life? And I'm telling you this, not just to vent, but because I want you, my viewers, to really think about what you'd do if you were in my shoes. Because I know there are people out there right now watching from all over the world who've been betrayed by someone they trusted most. Maybe it wasn't about money. Maybe it wasn't a wedding. Maybe it was something smaller, or maybe it was even bigger. But betrayal, no matter the scale, feels the same. It's heavy, it's sharp, it leaves you doubting not just them, but yourself. And that's exactly where I found myself, sitting in my room after hearing those words, torn between anger and heartbreak, between wanting to scream at her and wanting to just disappear. And I'll be honest with you, when family betrays you, the pain doesn't stay in one place. It follows you into your sleep, it whispers in the quiet moments, it makes you wonder if you'll ever see people the same way again. And here's where the story takes its final turn, because life has a strange way of revealing the truth when you least expect it. Months passed after that bitter conversation, months where I kept my distance, months where the silence between us grew heavier than any argument could have ever been. And then one evening, out of nowhere, she showed up at my door. No phone call, no warning, just her, standing there in her wedding dress, wrinkled and stained, her makeup smudged as if she had been crying for hours. Behind her was no husband, no entourage, no glow of a newlywed. Just emptiness. And she broke down, right there on my doorstep, admitting that the marriage was a sham, that her husband had been in it for reasons as selfish as the ones she had shown me. He had taken what he wanted, money, status, image, and then walked away. And suddenly, the girl who had dismissed me so casually, the sister who had called me unnecessary, was standing there begging for help, begging for forgiveness. And in that moment, I felt the weight of everything I'd carried, the betrayal, the humiliation, the pain, but I also realized something important. Forgiveness isn't always about them, sometimes it's about you. I let her in, but not without boundaries, not without making it clear that things would never be the same again. Because forgiveness doesn't erase betrayal, it just frees you from carrying its poison. She tried to explain herself, saying she was pressured, saying she thought I would judge her choices, saying she wanted to prove she could do it without me. But all of those excuses fell flat because the truth was simpler. She wanted my help, not my presence. And that's a lesson I learned the hard way. When someone values what you give them more than who you are, they'll always find a way to take, even if it means breaking your heart in the process. And I'm sharing this with you because I know there are people watching right now who need to hear it. Maybe you're holding on to pain from someone who used you. Maybe you're waiting for them to come back and apologize. But let me tell you, sometimes they don't, and sometimes even when they do, it's not enough. And that's okay, because your worth was never defined by how they treated you. And now I want to turn this back to you, my viewers, because this story isn't just mine, it's universal. How many of you have been in a situation where family or friends betrayed you? How many of you have given everything, only to be left with nothing? Tell me in the comments from where you're watching this and rate this story from 1 to 10, because I want to know if my pain resonates with yours. And while you're at it, if you've ever had to pick yourself up after betrayal, let this video remind you, you are not alone, and your scars are not weaknesses, they're proof that you survived. And if you're new here, subscribe to Outstanding Stories, because this is what we do. We share stories that hurt, stories that heal, and stories that remind us we're stronger than the people who try to break us. So don't just watch, be part of the conversation, because maybe your story will be the one that helps someone else find their strength.